Yo,
Yo, dude, how you doing?
good.
Oh, fuck yeah, hell yeah, dude. So, well, like just to clarify, Are we gonna be doing this on the North American or the European server?
North American.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. I'm already here. Um, I'll go ahead and give you my details really fast, so you can just go ahead and throw me an ad, and then we can
Okay.
jump into this. So I saw you sent me an email of the four replays and stuff. Just basically pick whichever one you want to go over, and then we can do a quick rundown on it as we like start it up, and we can like you know jump into breaking down the replay as you would like. Because if I'm not mistaken, you said you were diamond, right?
Yep. Diamond 2. I've made it to Diamond 1, but yeah, quickly got back to Diamond 2.
Okay, nice. All right, really quick. Sorry, I no, just kidding. Never mind. I found your name. You made it easy. Your name is the same on BattleNet as it is on the other stuff I know.
Yep.
A lot of people make their name something completely opposite, and they're like, "It's me." I'm like, "I can't fucking find you, dude."
Yeah, I've had this handle for like probably 10 years or something.
Nice. All right, so I just made you leader. Just go ahead and host whatever replay you want to go into.
All right. So yeah, I have four of them.
Yo,
Okay, so
Voban.
this one,
Thank you for the prime,
okay,
dude.
how do I
Much
do
appreciated.
this? Watch with others. So this was a TvP. On the Protoss did some hidden tech, and I knew he was going DTs, so I, went for a quick Raven and a engineering bay, and it, yeah, still didn't work. But yeah, we'll just watch it.
Sure. Wait. Oh no. Well, let's remake it really fast, just so
Oh,
because when we start the replay, just make me the lobby host so I can just bounce around the clock and stuff. Because I have no controls
okay.
now.
Here we go.
But yeah, sounds good. We'll look at what you scout. We'll talk about things and timings of stuff that can happen.
Hmm.
Oh man. And just I just want to give you my condolences because you picked Terran. Oh man, it's a rough life.
Yeah, it's really, the only race I played. I mean, I played a little bit of Zerg and Protoss, but
Sure.
I kind of put all my eggs into that basket.
Yeah, no, it's whatever you like really, and like I've known plenty of people who love playing Terran, and I think Terran has its moments when it is really fun, but this race
Hmm.
definitely is abused a lot. All right, so your scout timing is totally fine. For your early game here, your build order also is fine so far from what I like just the opener. I like it. Uh, wanna s- I would say personally, I always I don't know well, I'll talk about it in a second. I guess we're talking about the command center timing of where you're gonna put it.
Hmm.
I guess because what you've seen is actually you see someone going double gateway, and you also see someone going for a relatively late core. This core is pretty fucking late actually, because your Reaper has already started and the core just started. That is pretty
Hmm.
fucking late. Seeing this, I'd be okay if you put the command center on the low ground, because you're not gonna get harassed for a very long time.
Okay.
But just from seeing that, I would I honestly, but you put it on the high ground. It's okay. I don't mind that you put it on the high ground. It's totally fine. I actually think it just if you always put it on the high ground, it's gonna more often benefit you more than it's gonna hurt you.
Right. No, I only do it on the high ground if I see like a double gate opening.
Okay, yeah. Because yeah, exactly with double gate, you're going to be attacked. So I mean, you would have had enough time to build a bunker, but it still could be really fucking annoying, anyways.
Right.
But yeah, I would say the biggest thing to do right now would be definitely punish him. All right, I'm gonna pause it one more time really fast and say this. So with how late that core was, your Reaper can get in here, and 100% this Reaper can kill probably like honestly, if you kill probes quickly, like you don't hit a different probe every shot. You could probably kill like 3 probes before he even pops a unit out to defend this. Two or three
Okay.
probes.
So my Reaper's not in the base yet. Right now I'm at 219.
Yeah,
Is that the
no,
same
we're,
for you?
we're the same time.
Okay,
It was just based off the SCV scout with how late that core was. Uh,
gotcha.
Basically, like if you don't kill like 3 probes, it's like it's not the end of the world. It's not necessarily like it's required. It's just like
Hmm.
it's an opportunity where if your opponent delays their core at all, uh, like for any like whether it be the gateway was thrown down late, which then makes the core late, or the core itself was just late after the gateway, whatever reason,
Hmm.
like obviously it gives you an opportunity here to run in and at least scout his base with the Reaper. But
Right.
yeah, killing a probe is definitely going to be ideal if you see that he is uh, delaying it for whatever reason.
I
So
think I do. I think I get a few, or I might be confusing with another one.
yeah,
We'll see.
so like right there, we're just talking about movements right now. Um, the Reaper initially checked, like went over to the right. It initially checked the what's it called? It checked the natural, and then it came back down, and then it goes into the main. And I think I want to see the movement of the Reaper in total again as it goes down.
Sure.
So it goes down across the map, or we're rushing across, rushing across. You go down the ramp here, and then you turn it around, and then you go over here a little bit, and then it goes to the natural, and then it
Mhm.
goes into the main. And this, honestly, I would say this is like 4 or 5 seconds of time where it's just like you're going a direction, then you turn it around, then you go a direction, you turn it around.
Right.
It's like probably like again like 4 or 5 seconds of time that just gets kind of missed here, and 4 or 5 seconds is about how long it would take you to literally, uh, probably like 4 seconds to kill a probe here. Each probe would die
Sure.
in every 4 seconds, so that's like one probe probably not going to die now. So if we're talking about how late the core was, you could probably still get in there and kill like 2 probes before it
Hmm.
becomes a real problem. But
So yeah, just make a beeline right to the probes if I
yeah,
detect the late
it's it's
core.
it's just more or less like seeing seeing his base and then seeing that like if the core is late, just trying to make that a priority and then scouting afterwards.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, then the Reaper went for a gas probe too, so it
Yeah, I should have won for the minerals.
yeah, just like focus on the probe that you're for sure gonna kill. And then realistically, just like the best idea I would say with the Reaper 2 is I know he has 2 adepts, so like he hits you twice. But
Hmm.
the second you see a unit, like right, go back to right when it happened, right here, the second your adept or the adept like shoots your Reaper and your Reaper shoots back at the adept, if you run your Reaper away, because I know right now you're in your base, you're looking at your base, you're macroing and stuff,
Hmm.
but right now there's nothing that needs to really be looked at to be macroed because you're not supply blocking yet. You can throw down a depot in probably the next like 15 to 20 seconds. Your factory is going, it's fine. Your command center is still going, it's fine. Uh, you do have a few SCVs that are chilling, um, and then you have your barracks could be hotkeyed. So right now the perfect thing that could be done to just make sure you fix all this, that so none of this happens, is the second your Reaper goes across the map and your SCV is coming back across the map, you just lower your depot that you already made and you right click the mineral line with your SCV because you know that there's no units that are going to run your base and kill you right now.
Right.
There's nothing you should be afraid of at that point because you know the core is super late. You're not getting like cannon rushed or something like that. You've already scouted it with the SCV. Um, you just allow the SCV to get back in your base when it eventually gets back there, and then the SCVs that are building, like, because these SCVs that are building the command center and factory aren't doing this either, just shift Q your SCVs back to the mineral line. So that when they are
Right.
done, you don't have to worry about it. Like you could be looking at his base and your SCVs do whatever they're gonna do. Like they're gonna maintain working basically. Uh,
Yeah, I normally do shift Q. I guess I neglected to do that for this game.
sure, that's fine. Uh, and then when you're harassing with the Reaper too, like you should have an idea in your mind, right, about what add-on you want on your barracks, and you can just do it off the hotkey. Later it'll be like 4C or 4X, or for you it's 2 rather, 2X or 2C.
Hmm.
And then you should be looking at the Reaper the whole time just for this moment, because this moment's very important. Not only is it a good scout for you, but it's also a chance to kill probes, and it's also pressure for Protoss to stay defensive if your Reaper doesn't die.
Right.
Because if your Reaper doesn't die,
That's
yeah, the Protoss will be like, fuck, okay, he can go back in my main. I'm gonna sit on the ramp for a second. I got to sit on the cliff. I don't want to lose into the probe. And he's also, if the Protoss is not proxying you, it what's it called? Uh, it also makes him want to hide his tech and stuff. He doesn't want you to see what he's going for, possibly. Like him staying defensive is also a way to deny your scouting. Now, so that's just the Reaper is really, really, really important. So not losing it is huge. So if the second you see this, running away is really, really, really important. And then if you did run away, a perfect way to have done it would have been to like just run to the right, go behind the mineral line, go up, and then like maybe jump down into his natural, and see now did he expand, and and then get out of there basically. And then the other thing too to look at is when your Reaper ran into his base, the core has been done long enough for him not only to make adepts, but for him also to kill your Reaper with adepts. Like ideally you don't want to lose it, like we just talked about, but this means the core has been done for a while. And we also only see one pylon in his base. So
Right. So that's how I knew he was gonna proxy or hidden tech.
yeah,
So I do respond to that with a quick engineering bay, which I'm starting now.
sure. The only thing that is I think scary about that though is you would be fucked though if he goes for a proxy robo. Like
Oh, right.
so what I would say a good response to this now would be if the Reaper wasn't dead, the Reaper could do this for you. He could, after he scouts, okay, did you where's your pylon? No, I killed a probe or two. Okay, you made a depths. Okay, now I'm looking for your natural. I don't see a natural either. Now the Reaper could be like, all right, let's run around the map on the sides and let's see if I can find a proxy. But if your Reaper is dead, you could do it with like one Marine or like one SCV. Just do it with something. Just run around the borders of the map. And then you go into whatever you're going to go into. I think going into 111 is fine. It's not, it's not that bad. And then I think probably a good way to do this, if you think you're going to get one base proxied, for Terran, I would say maybe a good way to give yourself a chance to defend this would be maybe make a reactor on the barracks and make a tech lab on the factory. And then you can make a starport, make a tech lab on that, and maybe you start with, and then if you see it's like a proxy robo, you can make like tanks on like in like the high ground position or something, or you can make, if it's not a robo, you can make like a cyclone and like a raven, so you could deal with either like you said like DTs or Stargate or things like that.
Makes sense.
But yeah, like right now for sure, definite scouting needs to be happening on the maps, because then you could find out what is actually going to hit you. Because it's
right. Yeah, I didn't send out an SCV or anything.
Yeah.
I just kind of blind countered, or tried to blind counter rather.
Sure, and I would say it will work most of the time, but you will run into those builds sometimes that will completely destroy this. Like again, it would be a robo proxy.
Yeah, I didn't think of a robo proxy. I was thinking it was either going to be like Oracle or DTs. I assume DT since he had the 2 gates already.
Yeah.
So I figured that would be the most probable.
Yeah, because if a Protoss ever does want to do like a really fast like robo proxy, basically with like an immortal bust, going for 3 gates plus robo is pretty standard. It's so like you have like 2 gates on your base and like 1 gate proxied on the pylon for fast warpins, and you're just pumping like Zealot, Sentry, Stalker, whatever you can afford with immortal constantly.
Right.
And then now this is another thing too where I like that you have the command center. I really do like that you expanded. Like it's you have the ability to take your natural eventually, but what I would honestly prefer is more or less being more assertive about taking your natural, and then like it's the hardest thing about Protoss for Terran is getting harassed before your bunker's done. But then once your bunker is done, as long as it's done, the harassment gets shut down really, really, really hard. So perfect way to defend this, if your Reaper sees, oh, he's gone to depths, you could have placed your bunker in a position that is above the natural and kind of like between the minerals and the rock and the destructible, the unbuildable plates or whatever.
Right.
Like right there, that bunker would kill adepts that go into the mineral line at all, and they would kill adepts that try to go up the ramp at all. And then behind that you could go into like, for instance, like a tank, like you are, and then once you have that tank, there could be the adepts could be zoned out as well, even further, like all the way through your natural, and they can't do shit.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, had not had.
Yeah, I get.
Or go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I generally get pretty scared against aggressive Protoss, so I don't really want to go to the low ground with my CC until I get like my first factory unit, and then I usually will try to get my Expo after that.
Sure. Uh, I will. I'm 100% gonna agree with you. Then say that what you're doing right now is way safer. But I think what you're doing right
Hmm.
now is also it's a bit more inefficient with what you could be having because
Sure.
the scariest thing about Protoss is seriously like only when they catch you before your bunker's done and you're like fuck okay my SCV's dying or my command center CC's dying because he's got an adept smacking it. Oh okay, this sucks. Uh, but once that bunker's done, a lot of that early pressure is like nullified. It doesn't really get to do much anymore.
So
Um,
should my first bunker have been on the low ground by that destructible
uh
thing,
huh.
or okay,
And I honestly think that it. I think your bunker should almost always be on the low ground. The only time it ever shouldn't be on the low ground is if you know you're getting all in, like one base all in, like straight up fucking proxy gates and stuff.
hmm,
But the second you saw two gates and a core in his base, you already know he's not proxying you. It's not an option anymore because like in terms of like an early proxy, like we're talking like a 3-4 gate all in.
right,
You know that it's a standard opener, and if he is gonna proxy you now from this point, it's gonna be something that's gonna hit you way after a bunker would be finished.
right,
Um,
okay,
so yeah, if you know you're not getting proxied, like right off the bat, definitely low ground bunker, and because you know you're not gonna get punished for building it, and then bunker placement should be based off of uh, units that your opponent makes. So like this is something you could just do as a habit. Okay, this is like something you could do every game that would make your life easy. You could always place your bunker as if you think you're gonna fight against the depths initially, and if you
hmm,
don't fight against the depths and you see oh shit he made stalkers, okay, and you're let's just say you're not gonna go for like a tanker. Let's say you're going for like just mass bio. Okay, so you're not gonna have anything that can actually push the stalker away other than the bunker itself. You could literally salvage the bunker if your Reaper sees Stalker instead, and you could replace a new bunker in front of your natural that covers the doorway, like in
right,
front of the CC, because the Stalkers get zoned out harder by that because they can't phase past the bunker.
okay,
But if you're going for like a tank like you are as an opener, you honestly don't even need to move the bunker at all ever because the tank can be sieged like
right,
right below that depot on the high ground. That's like kind of overlooking the natural, and then
hmm,
suddenly your Stalkers can't do anything either.
makes sense.
Yeah, mostly it's just for the builds that are like a bunker's nice early to deal with the depths. It's amazing to like early like pokes, but a bunker mostly is I would say the most beneficial when you go for builds that are like 3 racks early and you're going for like a stim marine timing and you don't want to get constantly poked by his stalkers and shit, so that he can't just like whittle your bio down a little bit.
Right. I only play mech, by the way.
Sure, that good shit. You're
So
never dealing with that.
what do you think about the third CC that I'm building?
I like it. Yeah, it's good. One with
Okay.
third CC after 111 is great. The only thing I don't like is how late your natural is being saturated. Because, like,
Right.
this dude hasn't done anything aggressive to you yet. Like, he has 2 adepts in the natural. And he's probably looked at your ramp. And he poked the bunker for a second. And he goes, oh, a bunker. Let's not fuck with that. But again, if that bunker was on the low ground, these adepts would have just as much of a problem as they would on the high ground.
Okay.
And then, another thing. I'm going to say this, okay? This is actually something that, I'm gonna go back and restate the third CC statement.
Hmm.
Uh, so ideally, your again your Reaper is not gonna die. You're gonna scout a lot with him, and you're gonna confirm things. If your Reaper does die, like I said before, you need to confirm things with something else, either it be a Marine or an SCV or whatever else you have.
Hmm.
Probably not like a tank, obviously, but like something cheap.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and I would say another thing to look at too would be his natural once again. So you want to double check and confirm. And if your natural's done, okay, let's just say your natural finishes, you have a bunker, you have an SCV going around and scouting the map. Your bunker is making the adepts not really able to do much here at the natural because every time they try to poke SCVs, they get shot by Marines in a bunker. And then your SCV scouts his natural is not even started yet still, and your starport finishes, and your natural has like, not only is it an orbital command already, but it's also got about like 8 SCVs on it. I would then say, don't go for that third command center, and instead go for maybe like 2 extra factories.
Right.
And it just only because you confirm like, okay, this guy's not fucking having any idea of going for a natural. This looks very heavily like a one base all in.
Yeah.
Um,
Makes sense.
but if the guy plays standard, if the guy actually goes for like, a gate core nexus or gate nexus core, something with a nexus like how you're taking a command center, then your third CC timing is totally fine.
Okay.
But yeah, like this is just not enough. Like, it's your build up to this point has been stunted because of how late you actually, like, you just took your natural, and then now you're getting all in at 5 minutes, and then even though you had a natural, you literally just took it, and then it was no scouting of his natural, so you over also commit into economy when he's actually doing a one base all in, which
So
is
just to rephrase like what you've been saying so far,
sure.
in the beginning with a scout, if I see the double gate instead of a proxy, I could build a CC on the low ground with the bunker on the low ground.
It's mostly
Um,
based off core timing.
on the core timing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if your SCV scout was perfect, the next SCV that you build after you start the barracks and your depot's finished. So like
Yep.
SCV number 16 basically. He goes across the map and he goes and checks. That's a perfect SCV. He gets across the map, and if you see a core that is like so by the time your SCV gets across the map, your bunker or your barracks is pretty much finished, and
Hmm.
you're starting the Reaper.
Yep.
If his core is not 50% or above, you can totally make a what's it called? Or like, okay, 50% is a bit high. We'll say like 25%. If his core is not already like 1/4 of the way into production, you can 100% make a CC low ground and then make a bunker with it, and you can be fine. If you if
Okay.
but if his core is, if basically, if like if you're seeing this and you're like, all right, my Reaper is gonna get immediately denied, and because the core is well along already, like I'm not gonna be able to get into his base before his like he can easily have a unit out in time, is what I'm saying.
Hmm.
Then you're gonna need to probably that would be a better idea for you then to CC high ground, but you could then attempt to build a bunker when your Reaper's in his base, and you see what unit he builds, and based off what unit he builds is based off that base is where you place the bunker. So
Right.
if
So
it's
stalkers in the middle, and then adapt more by the destructible
yeah, like
type.
exactly, like covering the ramp
Yeah.
and the CC mineral line,
Yep.
and just make sure you don't actually build it in the way of the where the command center would land, obviously, because that would suck.
Right.
Because you're going to be building the bunker before the CC lands if you do CC high ground.
Yep.
And then and then keep the Reaper alive so that the bunker actually gets to go down. Because if you just immediately lose the Reaper to like an Adept and he just phases across the map, there is a
Hmm.
chance that his Adept will show up as the bunker's almost done, and he might kill your SCV.
Yeah, I've had that happen.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Uh, so again, that's when it comes down to your Reaper is in his base. You're scouting. You're poking. You see what he builds. You then first evacuate the Reaper out of his base, and then
Hmm.
after you evacuate the Reaper, then you build the bunker based off where his location, or based on location of what you saw,
Got it.
and then you go back to macroing for a sec, do your macro rotation, and then you could once again control your Reaper, and if you can go back into his base, check the natural, do all these things to make him feel like he wants to stay defensive, but don't overthrow the Reaper away. Like
Right.
if he's sitting on the high ground, let him sit on the high ground. That's cool. Like you can just chill for a sec, poke the natural, be like, do you have a nexus? If he does or doesn't, that'll give you some info. But yeah, like if he doesn't have a nexus, you might want to prioritize a little bit more production after you go up to a starport.
Okay.
And yeah, but this game, like, you're definitely just didn't have enough for sure, just because of the mining, like, and also the fact that you invested into even more eco.
Yeah.
Uh, if this does happen to you though, a perfect way to defend this would be also another thing too. This is just something that is a good idea, especially against Protosses who will one base you. let me see if you did it before I tell you to do this. If you already are doing it, okay, you're not doing it. So if you scout and you go, okay, this guy's literally not. He's not expanding. He's one basing me. He's also even furthermore, he's proxying me. A great thing to do is actually right where the prism is right now, build a depot. Like just build,
Oh, right.
yeah, build a depot on like the perimeter, like periodically throughout the perimeter of your base, so that you can see him coming from a long ways away. That way, it gives you more ability to, for instance, have like a cyclone that could just go over there and get in position if that's what you made. That can be like, oh, okay, let's just go deny this, because if you did make a cyclone first, then you know, you'd already have one there that could be already smacking the prism. If you make a tank first, obviously where your tank is now, I think is actually fine.
What would you recommend, tank or cyclone
It's
first?
that comes from if your SCV scouted the proxy. Your SCV
Yeah,
never scouted the
yeah,
proxy,
yeah.
so it's a question mark then.
Right.
I think you have a 1/3 chance to be right with a tank and a 2/3 chance to be right with a cyclone, because a cyclone can counter. Um, okay, I take that back. Like they both are like 1 point. Like they're both right against a Twilight Council, but a tank is right against a Robo and a cyclone is right against uh, against a Stargate. So against
Okay.
what happened here, where he went for a Twilight Council, I think a tank first is fine, because it makes it this tank, if it's put in the right location, it could actually help a lot against what this is. Like a
Mhm.
tank just fucking pounding on his any gateway unit is always a good thing.
Right.
And then right now, I would say the perfect response to this would honestly be run your SCVs away. And the reason why, I know you're probably thinking, like, because if you fight with SCVs here,
Yeah, I'm looking at my natural right now.
sure,
It really just caught me off surprise. I was just gonna
and
take my natural
sure,
and then.
and that's
Mhm.
why a depot in the corner of your base is going to be fucking amazing, because then you'll see
Yeah,
it a lot
yeah.
earlier. Uh,
Right.
but yeah, like the SCVs, they do fight right now as well. Like they're running into the DTs, or they're not really fighting actually. They're not attacking at all. They're trying to run away,
Right.
but they all die. So yeah, like, but if you do have the ability to, you know, you react to this just before it happens and you run the SCVs actually out of there, that is the right response for sure.
Okay.
Because again, like we don't at this point you don't give a shit if your turret dies because you do have the Raven.
Yep. Is the turret and the Raven overkill? Like, should I just get the Raven or?
I mean that's yeah. Like that's another thing that slowed you down when you make the engineering bay and you make the double turrets. I honestly think if you're gonna make the Raven, if that's what you, if you scouted, okay, yeah, it's DT proxy, and I'm going to 111 Raven, yeah, you don't need an engineering bay
Right,
for
because I didn't
turrets.
know if it's gonna be Oracle or what. Because yeah,
Exactly.
back to what you were saying about the scouting,
Yep,
it
and
kind of like
that's what makes the game so
countering
hard.
whatever.
When you're just like,
Yeah.
I have no idea, I'll prepare for everything. And he's like, I'm
Yeah.
doing one thing off of a one base all in, which is going to be really fast. If you make the wrong
Yep.
choice at all, which engineering bay turrets, even though it was DTs, with the, like, and also third base command center, those things together, and also the CC on the natural being on the high ground forever, all these things slowed your build down so hard, so that it made it way harder for you to actually have enough to defend this.
Okay. Yeah, I think I got what I needed out of this replay in your analysis. If
Okay.
you wanna
Yeah, sure.
jump into another one.
Sure, let's do it.
Cool.
Let's do it. I'll make you, or you're already leader. So just make me a lobby host again once you make the next one, and we'll break another one down.
All right. So out of the other four, there's one where it kind of demonstrates what my general plan is in most games, and it's one where I actually win. The other two are losses. So I don't know what one you want to see.
Honestly, winning and losing isn't going to really change the amount of information we can talk about. Whatever one, I would say, uh, pick one that represents something you struggle with a lot. That would probably be the
Okay.
best way to pick a good one.
All right. Let me find one.
Because yeah, any game we talk about, there will definitely be things we'll see that we can always improve on, and you know, things that'll
There we go.
increase the potency of your play.
Yep.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it. And then mech against Protoss. I will say, just this is something that is gonna be a future aspect for you. Okay.
Okay.
Mech against Protoss is going to turn into a situation to where the only way it will work. We're not talking about Diamond League anymore. We're talking about if you advance to like, Masters and your goals now to go for like GM. You will eventually have to
Yep.
play mech very aggressive and
Banshees.
something like Banshees are going to be a great unit, and you're going to need to play like it could be lots of variations of unit compositions, but it's going to need to be aggressive multi-pronged styles that are going to
Hmm.
make the economy of the Protoss suffer while you maintain map control and you keep punishing them and eventually you just run them over. If you
Yeah, I watch Froby and I like his style, so I'd probably try to mimic something like that.
Sure, that's fine. Like I know he is. He's a good player.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, like passive mech, it does not work against good Protosses.
Right. Yeah, I usually like battle mech because yeah, if I try to turtle, like I just get out expanded and
Exactly.
yeah, it doesn't work.
Protoss just runs you over. Protoss is kind of like Zerg in that regard. Protoss can punish
Yeah.
mech really easy.
Yep. Is there
Uh,
a way to think like where you're viewing so I can see exactly what you're looking at? Or
Unfortunately, you can't.
okay,
So I mean, I'll always try to like really be descriptive with what I'm talking about, and I'll try not to make it confusing. But yeah, there's no way to follow my camera.
okay.
But right now, I'm currently looking at Depot, and it looks good. No, uh, all right. So your build's fine again. Everything's pretty standard. One thing I really like against Protoss too, personally, when I play Terran, is I actually really have started liking doing things like Hellion Harass, or like Hellion Drops and stuff like that. I'm not
Hmm.
saying you have to do it, but I think opening up against, just in general, opening up with something that can be aggressive against Protoss is nice. Okay,
Yep.
I'm gonna go back actually, and I'm gonna look at this with your SCV. So this is another example of a delayed core. So
Oh,
this is one of those
okay.
examples where, because you can see like this dude, he showed you what he's doing though. He's like, I'm going for
Right.
a
Nexus
fucking
before
Nexus.
core.
Yeah.
Mm.
So now again, this is that moment where your Reaper can get into his base and you could probably kill a couple probes if you beeline it,
Right.
and you totally should, because Protosses who do this, like he's trying to be greedy right now, and
Hmm.
I'm guilty of this as well. When I play Protoss, sometimes I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go for that Nexus, but he's trying to be greedy, and if you see this and you go, all right, let's uh let's kill a couple probes, you can counteract that greed. Like you equalize the worker count even though he's being extra greedy.
Right.
So if you don't beeline it, like it's just again, it's one of those things where it's like a minor missed opportunity.
Yep. Makes sense.
And then there's the core.
Command center upgrade
And then my
complete.
SCV was a little bit idle, too long by its natural.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I honestly think that like you do know what he's doing, so that's
Hmm.
yeah. You don't necessarily need to be here anymore because you already know he's gone into the Nexus. But if let's just say this SCV did not see the Nexus, I think your SCV becoming a scouter, it would also be totally fine. Like last game, I think if your SCV just if your Reaper and your SCV were both like, you know what, I have no fucking idea what he's doing, and the Reaper, let's say the Reaper also stayed alive, you could actually send them both opposite sides of the map and do
Yep.
things like look for the proxy. So this dude being a scout for a while is totally fine. And then your Reaper actually chased. So this is another thing where I don't think it's the worst. It's not like, oh my god, why'd you kill that probe that was scouting your base? I don't think that's the worst.
I think I rallied it onto the probe and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't really pay attention where it went.
That's totally fine. But killing the probe is nice. It makes it to where it's less annoying. And
Hmm.
this is the way this works. Okay. The only way I would say that not killing that probe would have made sense would have been if you also made one Marine behind your Reaper, uh, so that
Right. So he can't come back
yep,
and harass the
exactly,
SCV building.
exactly.
Yeah.
But because you killed that probe with your Reaper instead, you have now missed the window to harass his probes in his base. So that should no longer be a thing we're gonna go for. Like you could still scout his base if you can somehow squeeze in there without the stalker or adept killing you. But
Yep.
yeah, no, killing the probes now, that's no longer a thing, even though he went for Nexus first. Um, so it's also, when you think about it, it's just something to think about too, right? If we're talking about a delayed core, and now Protoss is open to like a little bit more damage. Uh, if you think about it, like, well, if I don't make a Marine, I get to kill one probe, but if I do make a Marine, I can kill maybe 2 or 3. It's
Yep. I got it.
something to think about too, right? And then the Reaper's chilling. He's got the wall off. He made a Stalker first. Okay, so now we know it's a Stalker, and now
Hmm.
perfect time to build a bunker would be right now, and perfect place to put it would be in front of your natural.
Would I even need a bunker if he is playing greedy though?
It's it depends on okay, it depends on if you're gonna make Marines first of all. And it depends
No.
on it also depends on what you're going to open with. If you're going to open with a siege
Cyclone.
tank or a cyclone, yeah, then
Hmm.
you could probably be fine not making one. But if you open up with like let's say Hellions and you're going to go for that's something that I like. If you were going to go for like a Hellion drop into his main or something, then yes, you totally would need a bunker.
Okay.
But yeah, if you're going to make a cyclone, you're fine.
Center upgrade complete.
Because if he did run across the map, uh, and now he's got 3 stalkers. If he did run across the map, like this could still be kind of scary for you. You'd have to be very careful with your cyclone right now. And your cyclone moving out is even scarier. Oh shit! It
Because
is.
he wouldn't have blink by now, right?
No, think about
So
think about it like this though. Your cyclone. Imagine he's got 3 stalkers sitting on the top of the ramp, okay? And then
I
he
should have went through the third
well
instead of going up the ramp.
even then it's still kind of scary because stalkers can run pretty fast. Like they don't run as fast as a cyclone does, but they still run pretty close. And a cyclone is made of fucking paper, so it can die really easy.
Right.
So realistically, if this guy micros at all, there is no situation where you're ever gonna kill a stalker if he just makes. If he has 3 stalkers and he plays defensive, he can run the 1 locked-on stalker away while he runs the 2 non-locked-on stalkers towards your cyclone, and he keeps
Right.
stutter stepping into you. There's not a guarantee your cyclone would die if he did that, but there is a guarantee that you would not do any damage to his stalker though, because it would take
And
8. Go ahead.
I realize that. I usually just send out the first cyclone just to see what his army looks like.
Sure.
I don't expect to kill a stalker, but like I've never actually lost the first cyclone when I do that, unless if I really fuck it up. So it's not. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be a problem in my experience. But
I think you're gonna run into it eventually. I think you're gonna start getting
okay.
punished by Protosses. Because like I said, if all it would have taken for him to punish this, because you saw 3 stalkers with a Reaper before it died.
Yep.
If he had 3 stalkers on top of the ramp and you run into the stalkers because
Yeah.
you don't know they're there, and he auto attacks you, runs down the ramp with you, auto attacks you
Yep.
again, and then auto attacks you one final time before he had a range, the cyclone would die for sure.
Rip.
Add-on complete.
And then so like you did see a third though.
Hmm.
So but you like again none of the stalkers actually took any damage. It's all just shield damage. Your cyclone's almost dead, but you see a third, so at least you know he's being greedy. But this is when it comes down to the Reaper too, right? Like you
Hmm.
there's I understand, like I totally understand the idea of going, all right, I'm gonna fucking dive that Reaper, and I want to see if I can get into his base and maybe see what tech he's going for. But at the same time, just because you see what units he's making also kind of tells you what tech he's going for, very likely. Like it's not a guarantee, but it's it's a much higher chance. So
Yep.
if you stay outside of his base with a Reaper and you go, okay, 3 stalkers, back up. Let's say you come back again, okay, 4 stalkers, back up. You come back again, and you just oh, 5 stalkers, back up. Like he doesn't have blink right now, so he can't actually punish you yet. With like it's just a Reaper is what we're talking about. But because you keep seeing stalker, 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 you can also be like, all right, well, there's a very low chance this is now a Stargate, and the chances of him making mass stalkers now is I feel like the chances would be higher that he'd be doing something which is very common for Protoss to do, which is like opening with blink, which is what he's doing, obviously. But
Yeah, I assumed it was blink.
yeah, most of the time you're going to, right? Like almost every Protoss is like, I fucking love blink openers. Like it's
Yeah,
always fucking blink openers.
it's the cookie cutter
Exactly.
Protoss build.
Yep.
Yeah.
So your build, going back to your build now, I don't mind how it's opening. I don't mind the multiple cyclone production, the tech lab. I don't mind that it looks like you're going to throw down a second tech lab factory with more cyclone production. But if you're going to play this way, or go ahead.
Yeah, so this part I'm not really sure about. I can't decide between double tech lab right away or tech lab reactor to get more Hellions quicker. I think originally I would do the double tech lab, but now I'm starting to do more tech lab reactor.
I'll say
Which I
this.
think is a little bit better.
I'll say
Mhm.
this. I think honestly, if you play a defensive style with cyclones, like you're the one who now sits on top of your ramp,
Mhm.
a double tech lab is fine because you don't want to ever get caught in the middle of the map.
Right.
That's going to be painful for you. But what I think you could do is if you open with a reactor, you need to open with a bunker then, and then you could do something like you could harass him with Hellions and try to kill probes. If you ever see an opening to do that, but if you don't open with a reactor, then what you should do is I think going double tech lab like you did is also fine, and then you can make a third factory that has a reactor as well, and then you could start
Right.
going into because you should not be aggressive if your opponent if your opponent's doing something like this where they're just going stalker stalker stalker. You should
Mhm.
not be aggressive right now until you have like a good amount of
Hellions.
a good amount of cyclones and then also Hellions to cover them, because
Gotcha.
if you're aggressive with like two cyclones, um, and your opponent's going mass stalker, the chances of you actually doing damage are very low, and
Right.
but the chances of you getting a cyclone popped become a lot higher because he just has like he's got like double or almost triple your number of stalkers and
Yeah.
cyclones early game. But once you get to a point where you have like eight, we're talking like eight cyclones.
Mhm.
If he the amount of time it would take him to focus fire down like one or maybe two cyclones, he could lose. Let's say he kills two cyclones. Okay, he focus fires perfectly, and he has perfect
Mhm.
positioning. He could kill two cyclones in the same amount of time that you kill six stalkers, because the amount of time it would take for two auto attacks to go off for a stalker would be the same amount of time for a lock on to kill a stalker. So if he
Right.
kills, two out of your eight, you still can kill six in the same time frame. And that's when stalkers start becoming a little less like intimidating.
Yep.
And then that's also when if he doesn't micro it perfectly, let's say he just auto attacks to auto attack, and he kills a couple of Hellions, and then eight stalkers die because none of your cyclones actually get picked. Well, then that's just amazing for you, things will go great then. And it's still way before major tech comes out. If you were to open like you are with double tech lab, like he's not gonna have like this massive fucking like, oh, he's got like four disruptors and holy shit, or he's got whatever else we're talking about. It's just gonna mostly be still stalkers at that point, but it's gonna be a good amount of them, probably like 12 to 15 stalkers.
Is there any way we can do like a little bit faster pace for the training? Because I think we're like sticking on one issue for too long.
Sure.
All right.
Um, and then so positioning again right there is huge, right? It's
Yeah.
it's not like again, if you're gonna sit in front of your base, you definitely want to be sitting in front of your ramp. I know you're going to your third right now, but your third's not gonna die. Like if you really think about it, your third is not just gonna immediately die. So if your cyclones are gonna be pushing here, they need to be on top of the ramp rather than going in the middle of the open.
Good
Like
point.
it's really fucking risky how you're moving them out right now, and if this happens once, the game kind of ends. Like this game should
Yeah,
end right now.
I think he could really crush me right here.
He
He does
totally could.
retreat though.
So the reason why you didn't die there though is because you went for a third base. Like if you would have done like a two base, heavier blink right there, the game would be over. And then, game is going back to like just kind of both players kind of not really feeling super confident to take attacks because you're both being kind of greedy here. You're both trying to just play the expansion game rather than the attacking game.
Macro.
Yep. With the way he's playing it though, you are getting more of a chance to win because he's going for a pure ground like brute force army. He's not going for any type of AoE. which is honestly best case scenario for you. Like if this dude was using like disruptors or something, uh, your life would be a lot
Here, I need
harder.
to turn my game volume down because it's hard to hear you. There's a lot going on.
Sure.
Here we go. Okay.
And he's not really using AoE, so you're kind of lucking out on that fact. He's using basically a bunch of zealots. And you have a lot of Hellions, so this army is going to be good. This is actually looking like a good fight for you. This, your army, I would say your army it's well suited right now for what he has, but you always have to kind of keep tabs on what he's going to have. And if you throw you just throw you take a fight, you throw a periodic scan into where you think his tech is going to be, like into his main base, as always. You can see right now he is switching into something else, which is now going to eventually be carriers. So if you play against something now like carriers, you're going to definitely want to take maybe a little bit less Hellions in the future. And you could go into fucking really a lot of things. You could go into Widowmine, you could go into Thor, you could go into more Viking heavy now, because because you already have prioritized so many factories and also ground upgrades. I think Thor would be not a bad choice. But again, you could literally do fucking whatever you want right now. You could go into Vikings too and air units of your own to prepare for something like that.
Throwing down some starports. I think I threw down too many though. I don't really have the economy right now to produce for my factories and the starport, but
I don't think it's that bad because you're maxed. Like your SCV count is good. You're maxed and you're developing a bank. And what you're doing as well is you're developing your production to remax, because the goal shouldn't be constant production anymore. It should be a bank that gets depleted as quick as possible to remax as fast as you can. So I think it's okay. The only thing I would say maybe you're going to want to start adding in too as well. You need to kind of do this either your first or second time developing a bank. And I think doing it the second time you develop a bank is fine because...
More CCs.
Exactly. More orbitals.
Yeah.
So you have more of a bank to work with. And yeah, you just kind of destroyed his army right there. It was, the Zealots didn't really, like, they did some damage, but realistically, you kind of handled that fight.
We do X2 when the battles happen.
Yeah, here, we can go back and look at it, and I can talk about it a little bit more. I would say your movement, I didn't like it, honestly.
Yeah, I kind of got cut out.
Yeah, I would rather you have ran towards his base than back to yours, just because of where you are, and he knows where you are because you killed a pylon. And he also sees you with Revelation. So when you see him like this, this location for you, like, perfect thing to do right now would be, honestly, fucking toss a scan on him. If you don't know what he already has, like, fully. If you're like, fuck, okay, I don't know what like, I might know what he has mostly, but do I know exactly what 100% of his composition is? Is there Storm in here? Are there Disruptors in here? What the fuck does he have for real? And if you scan him right now and you see it's just a shitload of zealots with a couple of sentries and a couple of power units, I think running down away from him is a scary, super scary situation, because what he could do right now to punish you is he could run down and force field you a little bit and then fight half your army. And like he could honestly just run down, force field your army on the right out of your base, and he could chase your army back to your natural with his main army and just fuck you. And then he could force field your ramp again where the rocks are, and then just really fuck you over. So running away from him for a second would have been, like, running to the right would have been good here a little bit, because your army gets kind of pounded for a second there too while you're trying to run through the zealots. The Widowmines do a great job. But yeah, running down was probably not the best idea. And what's happening right now for you, I would say a problem that's starting to appear in this game is that the Protoss is being allowed to, so far, take as many bases as he wants. And it's, when a Protoss gets in situations like this, it really, whenever mech gets in situations like this, and you're absorbing shit defensively, it starts becoming a problem. So one way to kind of fix this, if you're not feeling safe enough to move out with your army, but you do want to still harass him, is you can seriously just send out like 4 to 5 Hellions every once in a while and just look for probes to kill and look for bases to scout.
Right. Yeah, that's a good idea.
And right now you're attacking his base. This is opening you up to a counterattack, though. He's actually just kind of beelining it for your army, though. He doesn't really... Like, he doesn't really care about your base. So I'm going to pause it and just say really fast. Like, if this dude would have ran into your natural, that could have been very scary for you. So running your...
production would have been screwed.
Running your whole army over there was a bit risky, but this dude just went for the planet. He was running to your army and got caught on a planetary. And now this is kind of... Things are going okay for you because now you're back here. You've traded base for base. And you're also now going to probably kill even more of his army because your army is definitely going to win this fight if he stays.
Yep.
Because he's in the middle of a transition to Stargate. But yeah, now it really comes down to once this is dead, you have to react to the fact that you go, okay, do I want to keep going Hylian Cyclone? Do I want to keep doing what I'm doing? Or do I need to switch into something else for what he has?
So, against carriers, is it good to disable the lock-on so that I can target the carriers manually?
Yeah, it is.
Because I feel like that's pretty hard to... Okay.
And I would say against carriers, you also probably want to get out of making cyclones altogether. But if you still have some, that is a good idea. Like, it's definitely...
Thors would be better than?
Yeah, anything. Cyclones, the reason why cyclones are not good is because if it was like 2 carriers, they'd be fine. If it's not enough DPS out of the carrier, but the thing about carriers is their DPS gets exponentially ridiculous.
Right.
The more there are. So if he gets to a point where he has like 8 carrier, 10 carrier, 12 carrier, your cyclones are just going to be popping so fucking fast that you're not. And you have to go in close to him to lock on as well. So you're going to be popping as you try to get in there, and it's just going to feel like a massive waste.
Right.
The only way you can make cyclones work against carrier is if you took like the juiciest fucking Widowmine hit and reset his interceptor count and then went for lock-ons. So now you're going into Battlecruiser and I think Battlecruiser is fine, honestly. I actually think Battlecruiser is a great idea against Protoss late game. But I think the best thing you can mix with it is honestly Widowmine, not Cyclone.
Okay.
And one of the reasons why a Battlecruiser is so fucking amazing against carrier is because if you look at the armor of a Battlecruiser really fast, it has 3 armor by default, and now you're at 5 at level 2. So it's fucking insane how much damage that this reduces. Because his carriers right now are only doing 7 damage a shot, which in reality is each armor upgrade. What it does is it is worth 16 damage from a carrier. So you're so in each weapon number for a carrier is worth 16. So it's really 7 times 16 is what his damage is, but your reduction is 5 times 16. So it's fucking insane. Like that's why BCs are such an amazing choice here. So I think your unit composition is good, other than what's addition to the Battlecruiser.
Okay.
Okay, now you're making Widow Mines. I like it a lot. It's good.
So here I decided to just go for a counterattack with my BCs to try to get some economic damage in, because I felt like that was my only way to really come back in this game, but because I can't really defend against what he's doing.
I think
That was the right move.
I think that what you did is fine, and I think the reason why it was fine is because you're in a position where you're being outbased. This is what we talked about before, right? So when you feel like you need to keep scouting the map periodically and making sure the Protoss isn't being extra greedy. And again, going back to the Hellion thing we talked about, you can just periodically run a few Hellions around just to really punish Protosses who play extra greedy. Because like, look at his bases on the sides: no defense, probes; no defense, probes; no defense, probes.
Yeah, more Hellion run bys, definitely.
And if you had more money to work with here, you wouldn't feel like you couldn't defend. You'd feel fine. It wouldn't.
Right.
But if you can't defend and you're trying to buy time, which is what you're doing right now, this is a fine call. This is you being like, well, hopefully he chases me. I can maybe recover some macro, maybe build some more units in the process, and he chases me while I just kill some of his shit that can't defend itself. Then yeah, it's fine. The idea behind it is okay. But yeah, it really was the development problem, I would say, of you know, like how the game got to this point, really.
Right.
Yeah, and just giving you like a quick recap, your build order I think was fine. Your expansion timings were fine. I think your army positioning was the biggest problem of all here. Like you're again the biggest one that fucked you over the most early game that sets the pace for a lot of the game overall is when your cyclones got blinked on and picked off when you were trying to take your third. Like that
Right.
that is super risky. Um,
Okay.
because you did know too he was going for mass stalkers before this, so you should have the idea that if you move out at any point, like I know you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, he's got stalker, he could totally have blink, but you need to punish that mindset where you go, okay, well if he's got blink, how can I actually abuse that, instead of just playing to his advantages where you're just basically saying, okay, well I'm going to go to defend my third if he attacks my third, but it's not really thinking of any way to punish the blink. Because if you did run into him there like you did and he played defensive, he would have still lost nothing anyways.
Right. Hey, if I send you another 50, could we do another hour, or are you wanting to start the
Uh,
rounds to GM?
I think I am going to call it for here for today. I'm gonna limit it
Okay.
because I'm just really everything's super busy.
Yep. No, that's fine.
But if you have any other questions though, feel free to ask about anything right now.
Okay. Um, yeah, as far as my general build that I try to go for is generally Cyclone, Hellion, Widowmine, and then maybe a few tanks in the back to kind of support the, the battle mech push.
Sure.
Is like what is Protos's like ideal counter to that? Is it disruptors?
Tempest
Tempest?
Disruptor. You would not you
Okay.
you would be able to do nothing against Tempest Disruptor with that kind of comp because you don't have enough anti-air. The only real anti-air you have is the Cyclones, because the Widow Mines are never going to get close enough. Because if you run the Widow Mines in bulk, they're going to get hit by Disruptor shots, and if you run the Widow Mines in
Right.
isolated, they're going to just get picked off by the Tempest. And then
So then,
go ahead.
so if I do see that Disruptor Tempest, and I have a shit ton of factories, would Thor and
Thor Viking is great.
Hellion?
Like adding in a few. You don't have to go mass Thors, just like maybe like 6 Thors or something. Add in some Thors to your composition. Add in some Vikings to your composition, and then you're gonna have a way better time against that. There's a lot of things Protoss can do. I'm just gonna throw this out there and say there is no ideal composition you can have against Protoss when you're playing mech that is going to win. That's just not something that exists. And until you get to one point in the game, which is when you have 3/3 battlecruisers and you have like ridiculous amounts of battlecruiser production with also Widow Mines that have drilling claws and also by in turn also have level 3 armor. Once you can have that, then you can fight Protoss armies no matter what they are, and it's actually hard for Protoss. But that's assuming that your economy is amazing still. But
Right.
before that, I will say if the Protoss's economy goes unhindered and is either as good or better than yours, and the Protoss knows how to play, you're going to have a hard time every time. So the goal of mech, seriously, is to punish the economy of Protoss and make you have the lead. And if you put Protoss into that position, then you can actually abuse them, and all these compositions suddenly become way harder for Protoss to deal with. Like your tank, like the Hellion Cyclone Widowmine tank thing you just said would be great against a Protoss who's fucking broke and can't afford to go Tempest.
Right.
And then you'd punish
And
the
then,
shit out of him. Go ahead.
And then one last question. For like Hellion run bys, what would be like the ideal number of Hellions to send out?
4 to 5.
You just 4 to 5?
Yep.
Okay.
If you get like maxed out, you can send maybe like 10 at this point. But the idea then is not only just to kill probes, you could actually kill probes and then hellbat them and kill a nexus.
Okay.
But if you were just killing probes, like 4 or 5, because it's enough to absorb a few shots, or it's enough to absorb. You can absorb damage from like a cannon or a stalker or anything that's there, and still have enough time to actually wipe a mineral line out if you focus fire it, because it only takes 3 Hellions to kill a probe. With a non-blue flame upgrade, it takes only 2 Hellions to kill a probe with blue flame and weapon upgraded Hellions. So you're really you're going to be one-shotting probes constantly, and you're going to take losses too, though, against realistic players that are not fucking AFK.
Right.
So yeah, it's just enough to kill a mineral line basically, and then do it again.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Nice, dude. Well, thank you for doing a coaching lesson, man. We can set another one up again in the future if you'd like. But yeah, I try to limit it to one a day, just so I can get everything else done in the day, because otherwise the stream's gonna be super fucking long.
Yeah, I got you.
All right.
Cool. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, good luck.
Appreciate it.
Good luck, man.
Thank you. All right, have a good one.
You too. See you, man.
Bye.
All right, boys, and that was a coaching lesson brought to you by myself and Mr. Ansichart. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys liked it, if you enjoyed it, check out the YouTube. There's many more over there as well. I do coach everything Zerg, Protoss, and Terran. I would say I by far though coach mostly Zerg players because I am a Zerg main. But yeah, go check it out if you're interested. And thank you for watching. Subscribe if you liked it. I will see you guys next time.